one of the sports that has been making us so proud in the Western Cape, and they've got champions everywhere. We had interviews from Eden, and we had interviews from Overberg, we had interviews from the West Coast, is of course kickboxing. And our kickboxers in the Western Cape are making us really proud. And the president of Western Cape Kickboxing, Josh Cloete, joins me back on the line now again. Josh, how are things there with you?
JP, things are going good. I think the sport itself, we are moving quite nicely forward. We are starting engaging with one another, especially the presidents of the other kickboxing districts. So for us, it is now just to get the competition going. But that also looks like it will happen soon.
You're one of the few people that when we call you for an interview, that you're actually standing in your own studio, in your own gym. It's fantastic to see where you are.
Well, yeah, I must say I've been blessed, with a good sporting family, and that's what we do. And whenever somebody calls me for interviews such as Cape TV or the Western Cape Sports Federation, then we are ready for it.
No, it really is fantastic. Tell us what you've been doing. We know we had Josh Jr. on the show not so long ago. We're going to ask you in a second about him, because we're hoping that he's made it into his pro space now. We're going to find out a little bit about that. But we haven't spoken to you now for about 2 months in terms of COVID and all that. How are you guys doing? Are you back on track? Are you able to train?
Yes, JP, all of our sports dojos or most of them has been found COVID compliant in terms of COVID protocols as per regulations. So then and the guys they've been training. West Coast, Eden, they've all been training as per protocols. So we are really ready to go.
What does that mean from a training protocol point of view? We just spoke to Sensei Ronnie Knott, who's of course from Overberg Karate Federation. And in the karate space, they are able to do, and we would all have thought that karate is, contact sports, so you can't train, but they talk about doing katas and they talk about training in separate spaces. What does that mean for kickboxing? Because we also think kickboxing is punching and kicking, but how do you guys train with keeping social distance?
Look, obviously, it varies from one dojo to another dojo. But what is important with us is, of course, sanitizing, temperature taking. That everybody must do as they approach in the dojo. Some dojos do, for argument's sake, 50% from their capacity of which the facility can take. But yes, we are focusing a lot on our musical forms as well. Especially here with us, musical forms, and which is very similar to your karate katas. And then of course you have your light contact and your semi-contact also,
right?
Which is not necessarily all in the ring, but our dojos are of such a nature as being exhibited by other trainers. Where you have one boxing bag is clear, and the other boxing bags. So all alternative boxing bags are utilized then to do your full contact kickboxing training.
So you're able to train on bags still, and the bags are far from each other, and of course you got things like shadow boxing and things like that.
Yes, of course. That's what I'm saying, is that we have all alternative bags are utilized within a dojo space with bags. And yes, the floor. When we train on the floor, there is 2 meter differences between your athletes.
Josh, tell us a little bit about the athletes themselves. Now that you've mentioned it, the last we spoke to Josh Jr. What happens there what's happening there in the pro space? Are the guys getting onto that card?
Look, at the moment with the pro kickboxing, we are still not pushing it at the moment.
Yeah.
But of course, we first wanted to plan out how we're going to go with the amateur kickboxing event end of the year, and then hopefully beginning January, February, March, we were looking at the pro scene for the kickboxers as well.
Yeah. Have you got any competitions coming up, or is it too early to talk about that? I know we still have all these things have to happen in regulation.
Yes, we are currently talking the South African kickboxing executive. We have agreed that yes, we will have a kickboxing event before the end of the year, and we're looking at late November, early December, just to ensure everybody that the kickboxing is still around. And of course, with these events, we will follow protocol as per governmental imperatives in terms of no spectators, in terms of all competitors should be tested for COVID, and to make sure that they are COVID negative.
Yeah.
So those things will obviously be applied and monitored.
So we've also spoken to the chairpersons of kickboxing and Van der Merwe, for example, in the Eden area, and we did an interview with West Coast Kickboxing and Overberg Kickboxing. And of course, you're right here in the Cape Town space. Are you reaching out to those districts? Are you guys all in communication with each other, trying to sort of work towards similar training programs?
Yes, we have regular meetings, and in terms of social media, that communication is so easy. I just had communication with all the presidents a day ago in terms of the way forward. So everybody is quite on par in terms of what's going to happen in the next month or two.
And when we spoke to Anne, we also know that you guys are doing quite a lot for developing women's kickboxing.
JP, women kickboxing have always been part of kickboxing from a South African kickboxing perspective. And yes, we do put a little bit more effort in there. But if you're looking at numbers in terms of female and male, we're probably looking at about 60-40% in terms of women and male. Yeah. But our females are relatively representative within kickboxing, within the kickboxing sphere.
But you're actively promoting it, and you're driving the fact that women should get involved with martial arts, should get involved with kickboxing.
Yes, no, of course. I mean, that is one of the fundamentals in terms of transformation, of one of the elements in transformation. Hence the aggressive movement towards getting females into the kickboxing sphere. Yeah. I mean, if I'm looking at from an executive perspective in the Western Cape, we're looking at Eden's got a female kickboxing president. The Cape Town has got a female kickboxing president. So that is already indicative, or must be indicative that is what the Western Cape are doing. Yeah. We are really supporting the females to have some form of stability within the kickboxing.
If people want to join, how do you get involved with the kickboxing side of things? Before we get there, how old? What would you say is a good age for children to start kickboxing?
Kickboxing, obviously, with most martial arts, we are actually moving away from the concept of kickboxing being a martial arts. We're looking at kickboxing more from a sports perspective. Kickboxing, at the age of 8, we would really encourage kids to start kickboxing. This is also an age where children can start to learn and listen. And learning can take place quite nicely at that kind of age. But also the thing is that at the age of 8, 9, 10, they also can start competing. So for us at the age of 8, school-going age is a very good age to start with the practicing of a sport such as kickboxing.
Josh, thanks for that. We're going to leave it at that, and we look forward to following the progress. We're looking forward to getting lots of pictures and lots of videos, and hopefully COVID starts to go away, and we will in fact see a Western Cape Championships.
No, Western Cape Championships definitely next year within the first term. That is where we normally have our Western Cape Championships within March, April. In fact, we this year in 2020, we were just lucky to have the Western Cape Championships, and in April or late March, then the lockdown started. But luckily for us, we already had our Western Cape Championships for 2020.
Fantastic, Josh. We'll speak again soon.
JP, thank you so much. Always nice to be on Cape Town TV, Western Cape Sports Federation.
There we go, folks. Josh Cloete, president of Western Cape Kickboxing. Really, the guys are making great strides and focusing on development. They're getting high-performance athletes through their programs. They've got clubs, as he refers to them, dojos all around the Western Cape, doing fantastic. And we're looking forward to these competitions. And of course, as we know, they follow all of those health and safety protocols. So really great stuff being done by the Kickboxing Federation.